We're going to move on to number 8.
Good evening, Commissioners. Nancy Estrada with the Planning Department. This is item number 8 on your agenda, case number C14, 2023-0096, Ben White Boulevard Medical Office, which is located at 4007 James Casey Street. As you may recall, this case was presented a couple of weeks ago, so I'll be providing a brief overview this evening. The subject area is approximately 6.3 acres and is currently zoned GRV-NP. The applicant is requesting CHPDA-NP. The property is currently developed with a 2-story medical office building and surface parking. The applicant is requesting CHPDA-NP for a proposed redevelopment and expansion of the existing medical offices. The proposal would create an additional 136,000 square feet of new medical office space for a total of approximately 194,000 square feet of medical office space on the site. The proposed zoning district will allow a medical office project the flexibility to achieve up to 120 feet in height. The staff recommendation is to grant CHPDA-NP combining district zoning. The proposed commercial highway services CH zoning district is appropriate for this location since West Ben White Boulevard is a specified highway corridor that allows for CH zoning. Therefore, medical office use along a highway can be provided to help support medical services at a regional scale. I'm here if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We'll now hear from the applicant, Mr. Whalen. Mr. Whalen, is April present?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Whalen will have 9 minutes.
Wow. Okay. I'll tap dance at some point. Michael Whalen, I'm going to go fast because I think that we've seen this once before. First, I want to confirm that you can hear okay? Cool. Okay, great. Michael Whalen on behalf of St. David's Healthcare, thank you for your time this evening and for hearing me out on round 2 of this presentation. I'd also like to thank our AV team for making sure we're able to provide accommodations that ensure this hearing is accessible to all. I think that's important. As you recall from the last meeting, our project is the Ben White Boulevard Medical Office redevelopment at 4007 James Casey Street. If we go to the next slide, we are seeking to rezone the property from GRV-NP to CHPDA-NP to facilitate the redevelopment of an existing 2-story medical office building and surface parking lot. The existing MOB was built back in 1983, and this redevelopment would add approximately 136,000 square feet of medical office to the site for a new total of 194,000 square feet. The CHPDA zoning allows us to build higher than 60 feet while modifying 2 site development regulations to maintain the setback and lot width standards under the existing GR zoning. We are seeking CH zoning for this site, which is appropriate given its location along State Highway 71, which is also known as Ben White Boulevard. If approved, this project would result in modernized and expanded healthcare options in the neighborhood's designated hospital district, and it would advance council direction and planning policies that seek to place height and density along major corridors. Next slide. This is a location map with the MOB site in blue. As you can see, the property abuts Ben White and to the left across James Casey is the St. David's Hospital known as the South Austin Medical Center. Next slide. And here is the site today. You can see the 1983 2-story office building sitting back behind the existing surface parking lot. Next slide. The property is in the South Austin Combined Neighborhood Plan area, which includes the South Menchaca neighborhood. And I believe you'll hear from Mr. Collins, who's from the contact team, in a moment. The neighborhood plan, which was adopted in 2014, 10 years ago, designated the area in blue as the Hospital Special District. To the immediate west of the MOB site is the hospital, which reaches a height as tall as 120 feet. The neighborhood plan specifically calls out the importance of the hospital special district, saying that it, quote, recognizes the unique land use requirements of a major medical center and related medical offices and businesses. Next slide. Council has supported density and height along our major corridors. As I stated earlier, CHPDA zoning would allow us to build above the 60-foot height limit set by the existing GR zoning, while also allowing us to maintain the less restrictive GR setback and lot width standards. On the screen, you can see in red the amount of land we would lose under CH setbacks, which is meaningful. And you can see that the site's flag lot configuration gives it a southern lot width of about 50 feet. I would also note that flag, there isn't any development on the flag. The development is all pushed up against Ben White and James Casey and the other building immediately to the east. Go to the next slide. This is a side-by-side comparison of some key development regulations for both CH and GR. With the flag lot in mind, you'll see the CH zoning requires a 100-foot minimum width, which we simply cannot achieve because of that flag lot configuration. You'll also see that the CH requires some of the largest setbacks of any zoning district. GR setbacks allow us to build closer to the property line and closer to the highway. And if we can go back one slide, I wanted to emphasize again that there's no building on that flag, so this simply allows us to build closer to the lines that are on East Ben White, on James Casey, and then adjacent to the other two buildings that are commercial buildings that are next to us. Go next slide, and one more. Oh, I'm sorry, go back one more. My bad. If you aren't familiar with CH as a zoning district, it is structured to give you more height in exchange for less impervious cover. So if you're over 80% but under 85% impervious cover, you can build up to 60 feet of height. And if you lower your impervious cover between 75 and 80%, you can achieve 80 feet of height. And then again, if it's between 70 and 75%, you can build up to 100 feet, and so on and so on. On the other hand, the maximum height under GR is 60 feet, and you can have up to 90% impervious cover. So that bottom line there, 85% to get to 65 feet, 60 feet under CH, 90% in GR. The maximum impervious cover, again, allowed under CH is only 85%. So the bottom line here is CH encourages less impervious cover. Go to the next slide. Just to conclude, we are seeking to redevelop the 40-year-old two-story medical office building and surface parking lot. The redevelopment will yield almost 200,000 square feet of new medical offices and facilities that can better meet our community's growing and evolving medical needs. The project is located in the neighborhood plan's designated hospital special district, and it complements the adjacent St. David's Hospital. And the flexibility offered with CHPDA-NP zoning is needed to build above 60 feet while maintaining the existing GR setbacks and lot width requirements. Again, I appreciate your time and consideration, and if there's any questions after Mr. Collins speaks, I'll be happy to answer. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. We'll now hear from Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins, you'll have 6 minutes.
My name is Ray Collins. I chair the South Minchac Neighborhood Plan Contact Team. The applicant has not offered to negotiate any of the community benefits you see in our Exhibit A since you last heard from me on January 23rd. So I'll continue my explication of what I referred to then as a smorgasbord of community benefits. Tonight I'll start with a more generous community benefit: reduced rent for space in St. David's HCA Healthcare Medical Office Complex for organizations such as Central Health and Integral Care, 2 organizations which provide respite care for discharged homeless patients who are presently being discharged into our Southwood neighborhood. I will point out, however, that there is a community care clinic 0.6 mile away, and Integral Care is 3.5 miles away, and St. David's HCA Healthcare does not discharge patients to them, so we're hoping that the shorter distance from the west side of James Casey Street to the east side may have some beneficial effect on hospital policy regarding respite care for people experiencing homelessness. A related problem is that St. David's HCA Healthcare is a data silo using the EPIC EHR rather than Central Health's MAP and ECHO's coordinated housing assessment. Interestingly enough, this problem could be solved in part if EMS would take identifiable uninsured patients to Ascension, preventing later financial problems which create difficulties housing people experiencing homelessness, as mentioned in our Exhibit B. Other negotiable components of Exhibit A are the minuscule additional funding of lab and x-ray costs for free pediatric care for uninsured children by Lirios Pediatrics, shade for the upcoming hot summer students, for students at St. Elmo Elementary, a generous contribution to the South Austin Creek Alliance to mitigate our flooding problems in Southwood and throughout South Austin, a bike lane, and free bus passes for St. David's employees.
Thank you, Mr. Collins.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the applicant for a 3-minute rebuttal.
Thank you. Michael Whalen on behalf of St. David's Healthcare. I have a letter in the backup that kind of outlines some of the community benefits. I think all of y'all are familiar with the tens of millions of dollars that St. David's Foundation gives away, much of which the money that St. David's Foundation gets comes from St. David's Healthcare, the hospital side of it. In addition to those tens of millions of dollars a year and the $4.8 billion in charity care that's been provided by St. David since it began, which comes out to over $100 million of uncompensated care a year. St. David's, at its expense, not the foundation's expense, does have hospital case managers and social workers at the South Austin location. And in conjunction with the patient and their support system, they facilitate services needed to assist patients in transitioning back to their communities. These can include services that are available in the neighborhood, including the church, if a patient specifically requests it. But as you can imagine, the hospital cannot demand that somebody goes somewhere or improperly hold somebody in the hospital. So happy to respond to any of the other items, whether it be the $600 million in taxes that have been paid by St. David's over the years or any of the other meaningful contributions to the community that St. David's is committed to continuing, will absolutely continue to do. Thank you.
Chair, that concludes the speakers on this item.
Okay, can I get a motion and a second to close the public hearing? Vice Chair Azar and Commissioner Guerrero Ramirez. All those in favor? Okay, let's move on to our questions. First, Commissioner. Oh, Commissioner Phillips.
So I want to say how much we appreciate St. David's and the work that they do and their charitable giving in the community, because they do a tremendous amount of uncompensated care for the community that I personally recognize in my dealings with, in another board I serve on, the ECHO board. But I just wanted to ask, some of the community benefits are really what I would term low-hanging fruit, like shade for the St. Elmo's School. Is there nothing that can be negotiated within the context of St. David's and the neighborhood? And that's to the applicant, I guess. Yes, please.
No, it's the...
No, for the applicant, for St. David's, yeah.
Michael Whalen on behalf of the applicant. Thank you for the question. St. David's has, as you've noted, and I didn't have the number, I just looked it up, it's $80 million a year from St. David's Foundation. And so you're looking for a quid pro quo on this one building, and what they've done is they've collectively, a percentage of the gross operating profits is going to St. David's Foundation. So that's really the way it translates, by increasing this medical office building, that will help, I think, in that effort. And it's being done in a place right up against Highway 71 and James Casey and away from the neighborhood that I think respects and honors where the neighborhood is, but also recognizes this is the hospital district specifically identified by the neighborhood. So, my hope is that the foundation will continue to grow as it has. It's, I believe, the largest foundation in the United States solely for the purpose of healthcare, which makes it unique. The focus on healthcare and healthy living is quite unique, as you well know. Thank you.
Other questions? Commissioner Muschaller.
Question for Mr. Collins, if he's still present.
Mr. Collins is making his way to the dais.
Thank you. And our audio is working for that this evening. We're good?
Yes, it's doing well.
Great. Thank you, sir. I think last time you were in, you spoke a little bit about your previous involvement with the foundation and the relationship between the foundation and the actual hospital.
Yes, I did.
You'll
find
could
that.
you remind us? Yes, could you please remind us how that relationship works?
Yes. So the foundation is not, well, first off, I asked Mr. Whalen in a contact meeting who his client was, and he correctly answered that it is St. David's HCA Healthcare. He has there is a relationship between the hospital and the foundation, which was established by the Episcopal Church. But the benefits that he's talking about are not benefits that affect what is going on in our neighborhood. They are benefits for the entire city, surely, and for South Austin, but they are not, none of these things that are in Exhibit A, which are all negotiable, as I mentioned earlier, are not, they're not things that benefit us in our neighborhood, which is, that's where we are with it. And there has been no negotiation on this for any of these items.
Did you receive any communication after our last meeting from anyone representing?
No.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Cox.
I just want to carry on that line of questioning with Mr. Whalen, and I'm just curious: is there any reason why you and your client are not having these conversations with the neighborhood to resolve these issues that we've gotten quite a bit of feedback on?
I think Mr. Whalen's making his way down.
And I'll just expand on that question, make it a bit more direct with the zoning case. If you can explain to us how this additional medical office space will help resolve some of the neighborhood issues surrounding this medical office complex, that would be useful.
Sure. Michael Whalen on behalf of the applicant. Thank you for the question. So there's a list of items. It's in your backup, starting at page 26, think of the staff. Backup, asking yes, no, whether we'll do certain things. And, for example, that we do a rapid flashing beacon. And one reason that there really isn't a response, and I think we put this in our letter. I did do a response letter to the letter that was sent. One reason is there are street impact fees that are estimated to be over $2 million. So we know, and that we indicated we would be happy to work with Councilmember Velasquez, because this is in that district, on being sure that those fees are used for something like the flashing beacon. Specifically, to answer your question, 40%, and I wanted to be clear about the connection between St. David's Healthcare. St. David's Healthcare is an independent organization, but pause, 40% of the gross operating profit from St. David's Healthcare goes to St. David's Foundation. And this is not, St. David's Healthcare pays property tax. There's no relief from property tax in terms of the entities where they exist throughout the city. So I don't know if that answers your
So let
question.
me narrow this down, because I have read a lot of the backup, and it sounds like a wonderful marketing document for the St. David's Foundation. But I'm trying to be specific here, that this hospital is within this particular community. You're asking us to approve a zoning case that will expand this hospital system in this community. Can you help us understand how this zoning case and approving it based on what you want will help resolve the issues that the community has brought up to us based on the proximity and the activities surrounding this hospital system?
Well, the nearby issue that I'm hearing, the nearby issues, I guess, in the document are providing free follow-up care referrals from St. David's Healthcare for uninsured pediatric patients. And as you know, because of the ER, they have to take on anybody that walks in, which they will continue to do, which is what results in the $100 million plus of uncompensated care. An agreement to include lab services for the pediatrics, the Lirios Pediatrics entity. Again, I would encourage folks at Lirios to go to St. David's St. David's Foundation to apply for a grant in order to get the money needed to, if that's an issue, for those lab services. That's kind of I'm trying to point out that there's a process and a way to ensure that the benefits that are going to be obtained through an expanded footprint, which will probably increase the amount of medical activity that occurs in the area, is seen by the neighborhood. I mean, there's a way to do that through the foundation grant process, including, I noticed there's also an agreement to include x-ray services at no cost to Lirios Pediatrics as a demand for community benefits. And again, as I noted, the emergency room has to, treat anybody who appears in the emergency room and provide those.
Well, I think that's per law, right? That's not something that
of
y'all
course
do
it is.
out
Of
of
course
the
it is.
goodness of your own hearts.
Yeah, I mean, is there a specific item that you're thinking about that we should offer?
Commissioner Cost, we've reached the end of your time. If there's another commissioner that wants to pick up the question. Commissioner Maxwell.
This question's for applicant as he walks back to his seat. I wanted to sort of get back to some basics regarding this site, because looking at the zoning and where it is located currently and what it is currently, could you explain what the impact would be of having a new medical facility, which it seems like there will be a significant economic impact as well as benefit to the hospital and functionality overall?
It will. I mean, so like there's, we're adding 134,000 square feet of medical office building. The medical office building will be used by practitioners in the area, will be, because it's in part 51%, I think, owned by St. David's Healthcare. Any money, any gross operating profits that are achieved from an expanded footprint, 134,000 square feet of additional medical office building, will go into that St. David's Foundation entity that we've been describing and discussing, and the Commissioner Phillips has some direct experience from other board service with. So I think clearly there's that direct relationship, and when you look at the location, in terms of a land planning concept, it appears to be, based on everything I've read, that's been, including the neighborhood hospital special district, is the appropriate place.
And a related question to that, we know that South Austin Hospital unfortunately has seen a lot of underinvestment over the years, and there has been recently several upgrades made, including coming to the site and building the new medical offices. So this is part of an overall revitalization of the site. Is that correct?
It is. So it's a landlocked site, makes it extremely difficult to provide medical care for an expanding population. St. David's made a commitment last year to invest $1 billion in capital improvements in Central Texas. Part of that is a women's tower that'll be built at St. David's in the South Austin campus across the street. And this is also part of that effort, in addition to hospitals in Kyle and some other areas that are being evaluated and investigated. But and the behavioral health hospital, that the first one of its first behavioral health hospital in over 30 years being built in North Austin. So, I mean, meaningful investment in the community that they want to continue.
And just to close out here, the site, if you look at it, is currently significantly covered with surface parking, which we know is not the highest and best use, even next to a highway. So obviously we are getting some actual significant improvement in terms of things like impervious cover, flood, where it sounds like we're getting a bike lane. Maybe you can speak to that as well.
We are. It'll be, I think we fall below 70% impervious. Yeah, we're getting 70% or below, plus or minus. We're going to meaningfully reduce impervious cover. I know people here don't love parking, I get it, but people still, when they go to a doctor's office, want to drive, and so we will have a garage instead of all that surface parking lot, and then 2 medical office buildings as well. In fact, the site plan is already in for this.
And one last question. This is very accessible by transit and other options, including, it sounds like, the new bike lane. So there is a significant effort to improve the overall access to this area.
Absolutely. I mean, it is the busiest emergency room in Central Texas, period, end of statement. It just is, given its location on 71 between I-35 and Mopac.
Thank you. Those are my questions.
Other questions? If no questions, is there a motion? Commissioner Phillips.
Yes, I will make a motion to accept the staff recommendation.
Second by Commissioner Maxwell. Okay, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yeah, I just want to say that looking at what we have in front of us, the opportunity to do greater good to the entire, not just South Austin community, but the entire community as a whole. I do wish at least they would landscape the soccer field at St. Elmo's and put their sign up there, something like that. But I think that there is a greater good here. So I think that we should approve this.
All right. Anybody speaking against the motion? Those speaking for? Vice Chair. Oh.
I just wanted to emphasize that I really think that this is a huge, as you may have told from this is actually the closest hospital to my house, and there has been several times where we have not used this facility just because it has been chronically underinvested. So to see new medical facilities coming in that will be a meaningful difference for the district and for the area is, to me, very exciting and should absolutely see approval from the commission.
Anybody speaking for or against? Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I'm in favor of the motion. I just wanted to thank our speaker for coming in twice. I know it's a lot to ask for you to come to 2 meetings. We appreciate that very much. And I appreciate the applicant being flexible with us to ensure that we had the proper resources available to provide all folks in our community the ability to engage in our democratic process. So I just really wanted to thank you, sir, for being here and for sharing your comments with us. Thank you all.
Great. I've got spots open for those speaking against. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and take a vote. So this is for the motion to move forward with staff recommendation by Commissioner Phillips, seconded by Commissioner Maxwell. All of those in favor? It is unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Collins. We can keep moving, right? Okay.